John Ulzheimer is known as one of our nation's most recognized credit experts. Having worked for 28 years in the credit industry, John has become one of the most prolific speakers about credit and the go-to authority on answers to credit-related questions. Credit Countdown with John Ulzheimer.
Hello, this is John Ulzheimer. I am a consumer credit expert. I have spent time with FICO, the company behind the FICO credit scoring system, and Equifax, which is one of the 3 recognized credit bureaus in the United States. This is my 30th year in the credit industry, long time. So today I'm going to talk about what is the accuracy rate of credit reports. If you read any article about credit reports, there's almost always some sort of criticism as to their accuracy. If you listen to some of the various government organizations, the watchdog groups and regulators and such, they will suggest that this information is horribly inaccurate and very harmful to consumers. If you listen to consumer advocates, they make it sound like credit reports are just horribly incorrect. If you listen to plaintiffs' attorneys, so the National Consumer Law Center and other plaintiffs' attorneys, they make it sound like the credit reports are horribly incorrect and just replete with erroneous information. Well, guess what? None of that stuff's actually accurate. All right. If you stop to take a minute to dig through the data and actually look at the error rate of credit reports and then kind of juxtapose that to what's referred to as the meaningful error rate, and then stop listening to the noise that's being made by consumer advocates and others, credit reports are actually pretty darn accurate. 98% accurate, which is I probably blew your socks off by giving you that 98% statistic. But guess where that statistic comes from? It comes from the Federal Trade Commission. And the Federal Trade Commission would never, ever be confused with being an advocacy group for the credit reporting industry. To the contrary, I think that most reasonable people would consider the Federal Trade Commission to be almost constantly adverse to the credit reporting industry. So where in the world does this error rate or this speculative information regarding error rates of credit reports come from? Well, many, many years ago, there are some really poorly performed credit file accuracy studies, mostly done by not even consumer advocacy groups, but like rabid consumer advocacy groups that, basically the entire financial services environment is terrible and everything is terrible, and that kind of group that basically has nothing good to say about anything. And they published some studies indicating that like 80% of credit reports have errors. The problem is, if you look at the study, it's basically mostly people that work for the organization. I think the sample of credit reports was less than 100, and they, if the period was in a wrong spot, then they would consider that credit report to be erroneous, which is obviously just a joke. So the 2 valid credit file accuracy studies that are generally recognized by people who aren't angry were a study performed by the Federal Trade Commission and published in 2013, and then a study performed by the Policy and Economic Research Council, or PERC, P-E-R-C. That one was also released around the same time frame, 2012, 2013. PERC, in all fairness, was funded by the credit reporting industry. The Federal Trade Commission obviously is not funded by the credit reporting industry. So it actually gives a good 2 sides to the story from organizations that are not aligned kind of with, in other words, meaning who do they align with in that respect. And they both came up with very, very similar results, which kind of validates the others' results, considering that they're both basically doing the same exact thing, which is trying to measure the validity rate of credit report information. So they use 2 standards. Number 1 is meaningful error. So no one cares that your 3rd former address on your credit report is missing the apartment number. No one cares about that. That's not an error, right? Using Webster's definition, it might be an error, but is it really an error that's meaningful in the world of credit reporting and scoring? Of course it isn't. So that's not really a meaningful error. So that's not really what I would call an erroneous credit report. When you use that standard, meaning that if there's something wrong on a credit report that leads to a lower credit score, or that could cause someone to go into a different rate tier, meaning that they would get a disadvantaged interest rate or a declination because of the error, that's a meaningful error. That's the type of error that someone actually cares about. That type of error rate is less than 2%, meaning that 98% of credit reports do not have meaningful errors on them. So how do you know if you have an error on your credit report and whether or not that error is meaningful? Well, you have to check your credit report. And the way that you do that, it's actually pretty simple. Is you go to annualcreditreport.com and you can claim your credit reports for free, and you can claim them for free weekly, actually, through April of 2022 if you choose to do so. You have to be a pretty voracious consumer of credit reports to really claim that many or want to claim that many. So if you have any other questions about credit file accuracy, I suspect I'm going to get some comments on this one, which is fine. I love having, good debate on this issue. Drop them in the comment section below and I'll get to them. Thank you very much for watching and have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.
For more videos and credit tips from John Ulzheimer, go to www.tradelinesupply.com.